only to be given like the dirtiest look. Like, I can't believe you thought you were staying on. I was the one who was embarrassed. I was like,
I didn't. I was like,
oh, I didn't know. I was like, no worries. I felt like someone kicked me in the gut. Hey there, my handsome and for Cobras, and welcome back to the Cobra's Nest. For those who are new, my name is Mignon Cobra, and I make videos on minimalism and all things related to that nature. So today's video is going to be kind of like talking about the main thing as to why I'm a minimalist. And today we're going to be talking money. So for those of you who have been following my journey for as long as I've been posting, yeah, you guys know that I got into minimalism because I had to pay off student loans. Obviously, I'm going to learn a lot about money along the road. I think for those of you who do follow me on social media, specifically Instagram, kind of know that my financial situation is a little bit different. And I'm like not saying this, with the video just starting off because I'm trying to brag. I really did think about making these type of videos, and I was like, who could this really help? But then I thought about it and I was like, the only reason I am where I am today is because people before me had enough strength to be transparent and talked about things that worked in their life and things that created the foundation of their success. So I want to share the things that have worked with me or worked for me financially. I'm only where I am today because other people didn't gatekeep. And so I want to share that with my Cobra babies because I think, like, honestly, I really do believe in karma, and I feel like if I'm winning, I want my Cobra babies to win too, so we can all win together. Okay, so I got 5 things that I want to talk about. So today's video is, if you're a minimalist, let's talk money. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. Let's get it, let's go. Woo. So I kind of want to start off this video before I get into my 5 points is kind of addressing something I've always kind of wanted to say, but honestly, I just wasn't financially ready to say some of these things. But something that I've been really chewing on is this idea that the zygeist, and this is not something that I came up with, and this is actually something from Scott, is that sometimes the reason that, the poor don't talk about the money is because the rich have made it that way so that you don't ask questions and you continue to participate in your own exploitation. Essentially, long story short, it's taboo to talk about money at the poor level because that's how the rich can continue to exploit you. And I really do feel that's true. I never talked about money with my family until my financial situation changed. Prior to that, I had no idea what was in my mom's bank account. She didn't know what was in mine. I didn't know what was in my father's. Money was just such a taboo, such a no-no thing to talk about. Things are completely different. I talk about money all the time with people in my own personal life. I mean, it is definitely really uncomfortable. It is really hard having money conversations because I did not grow up with wealth, and it always made me really uncomfortable. But I see the wins that have happened in my family when I started talking about money, that I was just I want that for my Cobra babies too. So I just wanted to fully say that before we start, so you kind of understand where I'm coming from, why I have never really felt comfortable talking about money before on my channel. I have talked about money in the context of paying off my student loan, but anything outside of that just has always filled me with anxiety. I don't know, I guess, yeah, I've just always felt so anxious talking about money, but I feel like things are different now, and I have the confidence now to talk about that, so I figured, yeah, I want to share that with my Cobra babies. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about, number 1, if you are on a finance journey, I think it'd be really good to take finance into account. And I'll do my best to talk about these things from a minimalism perspective because I am a minimalist first and foremost. This is a minimalism channel, not necessarily a money channel. Yeah, I guess full disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. Please do your own research. But I definitely see that a lot of minimalists, and this is something that I see because I've been in, the minimalism lifestyle niche industry for so long. I think sometimes it's kind of and don't get me wrong, there is actually a lot of minimalists who do turn to minimalism because of finances. That's actually also a very common trope. But I've also seen just as an equal amount of minimalists who are very kind of anti-money or turn to minimalism, and they're oh, I don't care about money. Money's not important. I realized in my minimalism journey, and honestly, everyone's journey is valid, and if that is how they arrived at their conclusions, I love that for them. But something that I want to say is that don't feel pressured just because you hear a lot of minimalists say oh yeah, money's not important, money doesn't buy happiness, and feel that has to be part of your minimalism journey. I don't think that's necessarily true. For me personally, I have found a lot of freedom in using my minimalism to wealth build, and I have found a lot of freedom in becoming financially comfortable, that I just would love to be that minimalist who tells you that those two things do not have to be true. You don't have to not care about money or be F money, I don't care about money just because you're a minimalist, just because it's so common in the industry. I just wanted to say that if you are a minimalist, it is totally okay to have nice things. It is totally okay to enjoy nice things. It's totally okay to pursue financial comforts. It's perfectly okay to be financially savvy, to seek financial stability. I personally don't agree with that narrative. I think that narrative can be really toxic, especially as a woman. We live in a patriarchy, and as such, money is important. Money is a really big factor, limiter, and opportunity builder in people's lives. So to like continue the narrative that like money's not important and I'm a minimalist and so blah 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 blah, I don't really agree with that. And so I wanted to be somebody who has been a minimalist for 10 years plus, and I wanted to kind of express that sentiment that if you've been like struggling with that like, hey, it's actually okay for you to find interest and find pleasure and find comfort in finances and material possessions. Hey there, my handsome and pretty little Cobras, and welcome back to the Cobra's Nest. So I wanted to do a quick little unboxing, and I want to say thank you so much to She Said Yes for kindly partnering with me for today's partnered gift. So they have sent me another solid gold piece to review on my channel, and I'm really excited to share that with you guys because this is, I've lost track of how many times we've done these collabs. I really like their stuff a lot, and I wouldn't keep partnering with them if I didn't like their stuff. So yeah, here she is. Let's open that up, and as usual, it has the thank you cards on the inside. She said yes with the care instructions, so I'll show you guys that. To care for your pieces. It also comes with the little baggie with ribbon and the box. I love these boxes. I keep all of them. They're great for upcycling and turning into other things. So let's go ahead and unbox the piece. So they have sent me a rose gold 10 karat piece with white sapphires, and this is what it looks like. I actually have their smaller one here that I've also paired with my wedding band. So I'm going to take that off so you guys can see the difference between the two sizes. The one that I got sent this time is on the thicker side. Hopefully the camera will show the difference, but I will also put that down below, give you guys a little bit of B-roll so you guys can see the difference. That's what it looks like. They're both the rose gold variant. This one is slightly thicker. I'll put the dimensions up on the screen, and this is the other one, the thinner one, so you guys can see the difference. There is a substantial amount of difference between the sizes, so I'll put that on so you guys can see if you were debating between which size to get. So you can see what that looks like on the fingers. This one is thicker and this one is thinner. Other than that, they're the exact same ring. Rose gold 10 karat with gemstones, lab gemstones, and the exact same band, just slightly thicker. It's just the difference of the This one is size 6, and these are fantastic because you can stack them with your wedding band or your engagement ring, and yeah, that's what they look like. So yeah, I just wanted to say a little bit of key messages. So share your yes, join our yes moment. So how to participate in our yes moment. So you can capture the magic of your yes proposals, weddings, anniversaries, and you can post it onto their website, #OurMomentYes. They have a lucky draw every week, every month, every year. So if your story stands out, you have a chance to be selected by them. Yeah, and you can let the world see how your love glows at She Said Yes Jewelry. My discount code is down below. So for 15% off, you can use my special discount code, MIG15. And there's the website and also the code for the ring if you wanted to pick up a piece. As usual, no pressure. I just want to say a big thank you to my Cobra babies for supporting me. This would only be possible with your continued support. And yeah, a big thank you to She Said Yes. And let's continue on with today's regularly scheduled program. Okay, so coming in at number 2, it is important to take responsibility for your own wealth building. So I have read a bajillion books on millionaires and wealth building. The more popular one that I always talk about on my channel is Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's the one that like started the ball for me. There's a bajillion. And in those books, especially Old Money, that's another one by Byron Telly, was this idea that like if you're a woman, especially if you're a woman, and this might just be like, I don't know, a woman issue. Maybe this is less so if you are a male minimalist or just a male in general, but society kind of pushes this narrative that like money is a man's thing, and as a woman, like, why are you so worried about money? Or this whole narrative that like you should just find a rich man, or somehow that the domain of money belongs in the man's sphere and you shouldn't have to worry about it. Like, that actually is not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that regardless of your gender, regardless of your station in life, don't put the power of the financial responsibility in somebody else's hands. Like, it is not your spouse's responsibility for you to be financially well off. It's not your parents' responsibility. It's not your friend's responsibility. It's really nobody else's responsibility but yours. Like, you should know what's going in and out of your bank account. You should have a bank account if you don't have a bank account. Like, you cannot understand how how adjacent money is to power until you have neither, or you have a lot of both. Money lets you say no to your boss. Money lets you get out of dangerous and toxic situations. Money helps you financially in emergencies. Like, Will and I would have been royally screwed during the pandemic if we didn't have life savings. And I think a lot of people can attest to that sentiment, that money will help you in ways where like sometimes other things will not. And I think having that financial security, that financial blanket is really, really important. And so I just really want to drive home the point that like you should take some responsibility with your finances. Like, don't pawn it off onto somebody else and be like, I hope my parents take care of it. I hope I get an inheritance. I hope my employer knows what's going on. Or I've even heard, now that I'm on like a higher financial bracket, tax bracket, I hope my accountant takes care of it. No one is going to care about your money as much as you are. And I think that's really important. Don't pawn it off onto somebody else. I have heard at like dinner parties, sometimes when I try to talk to people about money, especially people who are older than me, I try to look ahead and get some advice. And like, I literally get like, that's why I pay Steve. He's my financial advisor. That's why I pay him so well so he can take care of it. I'm like, you have no idea what's in your portfolio? He's like, no clue. I'm like, do you even have a brokerage? He's like, no, that's Steve's responsibility. And I'm just like, I could never. I could never. And that could just be a me problem. Maybe my relationship with money is not the healthiest, but I just feel like I just can't leave that in somebody else's hands. And so I would really say that if you are in a similar position, this is your sign. Get your financial things together because that's your responsibility, nobody else's. Okay, so coming in at number 3, so do your research. I think it is really important, especially if you know the phrase knowledge is power. You can make way better informed decisions if you know what's going on, if you know how the rules are played, if you know how the game is played, if you know where you stand, if you know where you're going, what your liabilities are. Like, if you keep the numbers straight, if you know what's going on, you can make more informed decisions as opposed to like you have no clue what's going on. It's really difficult to make a good decision. So what I'm trying to say is like you should do your research in all areas. Like, you should definitely take up more reading on finance books if that is something that you are into, listening to podcasts of people who are in shoes or rooms you would love to go into. Another one is even just like your own personal finance. I know there's like a lot of politics where it's like, our society should take more account of taking care of the vulnerable, and I definitely do agree with that sentiment, but the change we're looking for begins and starts with us. And so that means looking at your own finances. I think personal finance is a really, really powerful tool. I grew up on welfare, so for me, I definitely advocate for society keeping itself strong by taking care of its weakest members. But at the same time, I do think there is a certain level of accountability. Regardless of your station in life, it is really important that you take responsibility and you do research, especially if finances is something, you know what it is? I would just love for my Cobra babies to know, like on a practical level, it's like, do you know how much you owe to what? Do you know what your interest rate is? Do you know what's on your Visa bill? I think like sometimes things that are painful, it's like, it's hard to look at. Like at the end of the month, you feel like, I don't even want to look at like my credit card statement. And so like you put it off and like you don't do anything about it. And I think that you should do research to figure out ways to kind of prevent these things from happening in the first place. Like when I got a credit card when I was in university, I bought a book. It was literally called like Well Heated, and it's literally a book on how to like manage your finances and like literally just like how to manage your credit card. And that book was just so eye-opening, especially because it was written in the Toronto setting. So it was like, don't go to Eaton's, you don't need a Chanel bag right now, you should make sure you're paying off your Visa, you shouldn't be getting your nails done all the time. Like, we know you love a Lululemon set, but you don't need one every single season. And that was really, really, really helpful for me because at the time I was breaking a lot of bad habits. I had like a shopping addiction. I was really bad with money. I didn't really know how to handle my finances. And so like when I did my own research, I found books. If you're not sure where to start, I'll give you some recommendations because I know it's kind of like, well, where do I start? So I would recommend Well Heated by Leslie Ann Truge. I'll put up here, I don't want to mispronounce her name. Mr. Money Stash, he has a blog on finances. I would definitely recommend checking that out. He's been writing in that thing for like, I want to say over a decade. There's a plethora of information on that one. Rich Dad Poor Dad is great. He has a couple books. I would recommend checking those out. Even Donald Trump's stuff. You don't have to respect the man or like the man to like learn from him. He has been very successful financially, so I would definitely recommend that book too. I definitely do not agree with some of his life choices because a lot of these things are psychology at the end of the day. Another one that's really good is The Millionaire Mindset. Another one is Old Money by Byron Telly. I think, yeah, I'm putting a lot on your plate, but I would highly recommend checking out those books to kind of like change your perspective and maybe have a different perspective. If you want to know some YouTubers, if you are not a book person, I would highly recommend Graham Stephan. fantastic, classic. Dave Ramsey, Alex Hermosi. I think that they have amazing things to say. I don't know if I would recommend Iman Katsi. He seems a little out there, so I don't know if I would recommend him, but I do think that in doing your own research, you will learn a plethora of things that can give you a different perspective or starting point on how to like maybe not wealth build, but like definitely be in a more comfortable place or have a healthier relationship with money. Okay, so coming in at number 4, yeah, the benefits of being comfortable. And I don't mean comfortable as in like sitting on a couch. I mean like financially comfortable. And I think that sometimes it's hard to speak for other people, and sometimes we don't want to hear advice from people who haven't lived it. So some of these things that I'm going to talk about is actually my own personal experience. I think sometimes things hold a little bit more weight and a little more validity when they come from personal experience. And so I can definitely vouch for these things, because for me personally, these are the things that I hoped money would fix or money would provide, and they did. And so I want to talk about it. So the first one that I want to say is that like one of the benefits about like being financially comfortable was being able to tell your boss where to go. Yeah, you guys know that I'm currently like I run my own business, but that was not the case a couple years ago. I also worked at a school, and I have worked for like independent companies, and yeah, not having any leverage meant that you are pretty much a slave and at the mercy of your bosses, essentially. And not having a boss or being my own boss in comparison to like being at the mercy of my bosses, I have to say that this is way better. Like this is absolutely fantastic. And now I'm not saying like, oh, you need to be an entrepreneur in order to experience this, but like we all know that if you're not worried about being laid off, you don't tolerate as much from the manager, from the boss, because you have leverage. If you don't like it, you can just leave. Some of you might have nice bosses, and I have had nice bosses in the past too, but it is really nice having the leverage of like, yeah, not being at the mercy of my boss. Okay, the next thing is you sleep better at night. I used to lie awake in bed thinking about my OSAP loans. Those are my student loans for those of you who don't live in Canada. I used to stress over that. Like every decision that I made was colored through the lens of my student loans. Like, God, I couldn't even go to 7-Eleven without stressing. I was like, I don't know if I deserve a soy milk box. It was just like really small and cheap things, and every financial decision I made weighed on me. I remember I only bought one pair of shoes every couple years. It wasn't literally until a shoe had a hole in it, which is like unfortunate for me. It's still a bad habit that I have to this day. I won't declutter clothes unless they have holes in it, and I do think it's from the trauma of student loans. But my point being is I sleep so much better not having financial stress, and I would love that for my Cobra babies. So if there's literally like no other reason for why you would want to get better with your money, it's just like sleeping better at night. Like I sleep so well at night, and I don't know, that was not the case when I had student loans. Okay, the other one is working from home. One of the benefits that came out of finally being financially comfortable was being able to reject positions that didn't offer remote work. And I think this one might be a little bit more niche, and I don't necessarily know is related to money. I know some jobs can never be remote. I understand that. But my point being is I was able to afford myself the luxury of having a more comfortable way of working, because we do spend a lot of time at work, like literally 9 to 5 and then some, right? So I think that one of the financial comfortable things that I wanted to afford to myself was that like if I didn't have to go to a job anymore, I wouldn't. And being financially comfortable means that like I'm not stressed and thinking like I need to get in my car and like I need to drive to work. I don't have that strain anymore, and that's something that makes me really happy. And like recently I was on the phone with one of my mom's friends, because like I was calling about like an accounting situation. I won't get into that, it's personal, but like he was like, you work from home? I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, wow. He's like, that is really nice. He's like, I've never worked from home, because he's like an older gen. And he's like, I just think what a blessing it is. Like, how privileged are you to be able to work from home? And like, I definitely agree with that sentiment, because like working from home was a fantasy. Me being a millennial, not everybody worked from home. So, I mean, thanks to COVID or not thanks to COVID. But yeah, I think being financially comfortable means maybe designing or choosing a work style, work-life balance that could definitely be a lot more beneficial. Like if money wasn't an issue, would you design a different life for yourself? Okay, the next one is less anxiety. So that's one of the best things that have come out of like not worrying about money, is that like I have so much less stress about money. Like don't get me wrong, like I still stress about money. I still get anxious. Like when I watch the stock market go up and down, I still suffer from anxiety. I'm still like, but I mean, like, I don't have the same kind of like anxiety, whereas like I would like literally when I would buy clothes or like anything, just like even like essential things, I remember sometimes like when I was at the grocery store, I would literally break out in a sweat when I would pull out like my debit card or like pull money out of my wallet. Like paying for things would break me into this nasty sweat, because I was like I just have such a bad relationship with money, guys. And so one of the positive things that have come out of like not stressing about money is like I don't I feel way less anxiety now when it comes to money. Like, I can open my bank account and I don't break into like a cold sweat. And I think like that is such a win. Okay, another one is, and this one is a very personal one, and we all love a vulnerable moment, but yeah, losing a job is very devastating. And so I have a great story that I want to illustrate to kind of bring to the table why I think financial health is so important. So I was working at a private school. I don't know if I've told the story or not, but it was like not quite the end of my contract. I think I had like a month left, or maybe a little less than a month, like a couple of weeks left. And they gave me the impression they were going to keep me on for the next quarter. So I went to approach my boss because, you know, as a teacher, we need to prepare ahead of time for the semester. So I just kind of was like, okay, like, what's the plan? What's the move? What do I need to prepare for? Only to be given like the dirtiest look. Like, I can't believe you thought you were staying on. They fully gave me the impression that I was staying on from the conversations, and maybe I'm just an idiot. But I feel like given that when a lot of people talk about being laid off, a lot of people are always like, they were talking about a promotion. I can't believe I got fired. That I understand that this is not just a me thing, but literally looked at me like I was a cockroach. Like, you thought you were staying on? And were like, no, oh my, no, your contract is done in 3 weeks. And I remember standing there and I was the one who was embarrassed. I was like, I didn't, I was like, I didn't know. I was like, no worries. I felt like someone kicked me in the gut. I was like, yeah, just like that. I had 2-3 weeks to like clear out or prepare my desk and get ready for the let go. They were not keeping me on. And just like that, I was out of a job. And I've heard like people explain it in a different way. In those type of situations, you technically only have one client, and that is your employer. So when you lose when you lose your boss, you've technically lost your only client. And so diversification is really important. And that's kind of why they say that like the average millionaire has like 12 streams of income. When they let me go, I had about a year before I ran out of money. And so what I'm trying to say is I'm not advocating for you to start a business. I'm not advocating for entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. If you have a 9-to-5, a 9-to-5 is definitely a lot easier than entrepreneurship. But my point being is understand that your job is not permanent and it is not guaranteed. So I think it is really important to have a safety net, have some sort of financial cushion. I know everybody says, have like a 1-year emergency fund. I think 1 year is quite a lot. But have some sort of emergency fund that if your boss one day was like, yeah, that's it, you're done, this is your last paycheck, how much time could you buy yourself till you found your next job? And so I want to really drive home to the point, please understand that your job doesn't matter if you have a union, your job is not permanent. Okay, and the last and final point, I know this video is definitely going to be on the lengthy side, but I'm very passionate about this topic and I want to help out my little Cobra babies. So you might be wondering, okay, what are some possible strategies like financially? There's a plethora out there, but the one that I'm going to advocate for, there's only 2 things that I want to talk about in terms of like investment strategies. Again, I want to fully disclaimer, I am not a financial advisor. Please do your own research. The 2 strategies that I implement in terms of investing are extremely conservative. I am definitely one VOO and chill kind of girl. If you're wondering what the VOO, that is the Vanguard ETF for the S&P 500, which is just like pretty much like the stock market, and it's the top 500 companies, like American companies. So it just tracks it. It's just an index. That's something that I feel very comfortable with. Of course, you should always do your own research. There's always volatility. Past returns are not guaranteed of future returns. And the other thing that I also like to do is I like investing in companies that provide a dividend just because I like it. I'm in a place now where I can kind of take some money off the table. I am definitely a lot less dividend heavy. I definitely was more so in the past. I liked collecting the Canadian banks, I guess large American companies that paid out dividend, but my strategy is definitely kind of shifted to the more long term. So I'm just like the basic bitch of investing, which is like VOO and chill. So I just wanted to put a few on the table, just those 2 strategies, because those are the only strategies that I've implemented. I've never done day trading. I've never done, I did crypto. If you are watching this, please, I know you're going to be like,
some people became billionaires.
Yeah, I know some people became billionaires doing crypto. Some people became billionaires doing the lottery, but that doesn't mean if you do crypto, you're going to hit the lottery. I did crypto for 2 years, and I have to tell you, like, I was out here like vomiting blood from the stress. You couldn't pay me money to go back to crypto. So that's something I would not advocate for. Please do not see, regardless of what you see some finance bro tells you, crypto I don't think is a very safe. I wouldn't touch it. So I just wanted to give that advice and share that with my Cobra babies. But I just wanted to offer up just 2 simple strategies that are easy to look into, because I don't think that people will do things when it's complicated. I wouldn't do things if it was complicated. So I want to keep it nice, clean, and simple. That is everything. I hope that you guys could have enjoyed this little video. Comment down below if you guys would like some more finance videos from me. I would love to make them. I have so much to say. And if not, no worries. Comment that down below. I'll be like, hey, listen, I didn't come here for the finance bro tips. Just stick to minimalism, please. Just tell me what to do with my closet. That would be amazing feedback and I would love to hear it. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Bye.